What could be worse than a fool on the road? Only an aggressive fool who has decided to teach other drivers a lesson in life. Today, I will show you a selection of crazy situations when brave long-haul truckers decided to restore justice on the highway. From collisions and real chases from trucks to full-fledged armed conflicts. One of such incidents I saved for last, when a road hog even pulled out a shotgun from the window. An incident occurred on the road in the Moscow region, when the driver of a minicar, apparently feeling offended because a truck did not let his car pass, decided to take revenge. He caught up with the truck and created a dangerous situation on the road by abruptly braking in front of it, trying to cut off and teach the careless driver. Think that's all? No. He blocked the truck's opportunity to make a turn, which could have led to a serious road traffic accident. However, thanks to the professionalism and composure of the truck driver, an accident was avoided. The situation was resolved near a traffic police patrol car, where the car driver ran to complain after failing to involve the truck driver in an accident. This guy is definitely crazy. But even in the USA, there are their own teachers. This guy in a Nissan got offended that the truck driver didn't yield his lane while merging and decided to do something incredibly stupid. Brake abruptly right in front of the huge truck. What could go wrong here? Naturally, the truck driver didn't have time to react to such a maneuver, or maybe just didn't want to. The teacher received a solid hit from behind, and then spent some time contemplating whether to stop or not. An incident occurred on the M10 highway, when the driver of a Volkswagen car decided to teach a truck driver a lesson, probably because the truck was moving too slowly and not giving way. In an attempt to educate the driver, the car driver began to make dangerous maneuvers, abruptly slowing down in front of the truck. In response, the experienced truck driver didn't lose his composure and started reducing the distance between the tractor and the sedan, keeping as close to it as possible. This risk reminded the sedan driver of the potential danger of his actions, prompting him to give up further attempts to teach and quickly end his self-appointed lesson. A road conflict occurred on the Kazan section of the Moscow-Ufa Federal Highway, involving two long-haul truckers and the driver of a Toyota Land Cruiser SUV. The reasons for the conflict remain unclear. However, the situation began to escalate when the Toyota driver attempted to overtake one of the trucks on the right. In response, the truck driver started narrowing the road for the SUV, occupying more space on the lane. Having failed in his first maneuver, the Toyota driver tried to overtake the trucks from the left, but this time his path was blocked by the second truck. Such a situation, where long-haul truckers alternated maneuvers, obstructing the passage of the car, continued for some time. As a result, two trucks effectively sandwiched the SUV between them, creating a tense and potentially dangerous situation on the road, but noticeably cooling the ardor of the newly minted teacher. The driver of the dark blue sedan decided that the truck driver simply must yield to him, although we can see several free lanes. He abruptly changes lanes in front of the truck and rudely slams on the brakes, apparently trying to teach a lesson this way. The result is predictable. I think even if the truck driver wanted to avoid the collision, he simply couldn't. I hope the lesson was received by the sedan driver. On one of the roads in the Moscow region, as one might assume from the code on the license plates, a tense road situation unfolded involving the driver of an Audi A4. Violating traffic rules, the driver made a lane change over a solid line and began to provoke the trucker, repeatedly abruptly slowing down dangerously close to the truck. In response to the trucker's attempts to warn him with signals, the Audi driver demonstrated his upbringing and intentions by sticking his hand out of the window and making an indecent gesture. Such reckless and provocative behavior did not go unnoticed. The last second of this video can be watched forever. On the road, as in life, disrespect for other road users, and violation of rules often leads to negative consequences, emphasizing the importance of observing road etiquette and safety. The sharp and audacious BMW driver was upset that the truck was the first to overtake his loaded counterpart and did not let the rushing sedan pass. The teacher decided to overtake both trucks immediately on the shoulder and then, abruptly changing lanes to the far right, teach his offender on the truck. But the truck driver did not appreciate the maneuver, denting the truck and rear bumper of the BMW. Was it worth it? It's a pity we can't ask the sedan owner that. The details of what caused the anger of several truck drivers toward the driver of the car remain unknown. However, the situation that unfolded on the road resembled a scenario from a low-budget action movie. The truckers, as if united against a common enemy, began a real hunt, trying to surround and block the car, creating the so-called box. At the very last moment, when it seemed like the car was trapped, the driver managed to find a way out of the situation. With agility and inventiveness, characteristic of action movie heroes, he managed to avoid the traps set by the truckers and escape the pursuit, leaving the trucks behind. Hopefully, after this, he lost his desire to teach others on the road. And this is just a strange driver. From the video, it's evident that a cone fell in front of the pickup, which flew under its wheels, and the car braked urgently to avoid collision with the obstacle. At this time, the truck, which was severely limited in brakes on the slippery road, tried to get out of the situation by pulling onto the shoulder to avoid hitting the pickup. But for some reason, this offended the driver. He didn't let the truck pass, and then drove rudely, braking and swerving, making indecent gestures. Perhaps the guy wanted someone to rear-end him. In this case, the scenario for the Gazelle van driver developed much less successfully. He found himself involved in a chase by two trucks, whose drivers, apparently acting in a coordinated manner, aimed to trap the van on a small island in the parking lot. Caught in a complex situation and trapped, the driver of the Gazelle did not lose his presence of mind and tried to find a way out by turning around and directing the car back towards the road exit. Unfortunately, the attempt to break free and avoid collision ended in failure. Returning to the road, the van suffered a powerful blow to the side from one of the trucks. It remains only to guess what the Gazelle driver had managed to do, since the guy in the trucks acted so radically. Comments suggested that he had caused an accident and tried to flee, and the truckers decided to catch him. So, does the end justify the means? But let's move on. And this guy in the Ford decided to teach a lesson to the truck driver for taking too long to change lanes. The black sedan abruptly cut off the truck and hit the brakes. The truck driver managed to react, but instant karma caught up with the teacher in the form of two policemen on motorcycles. However, before that, he managed to make an indecent gesture. Perhaps the police took it personally. Instant karma in action. A dashboard camera installed in the truck cabin captured a dramatic moment on the road that caused a wide resonance among internet users after being published on one of the social networks. According to comments, the criminals tried to force the truck to stop, possibly with the intention of committing robbery or hijacking. However, the truck driver, demonstrating determination and resourcefulness, managed to outsmart the aggressors. At a critical moment, using the mass and power of his vehicle, the truck driver made decisive maneuvers that not only prevented the penetrators from carrying out their plan, but also forced them to retreat. As a result of these actions, the criminal's SUV ended up in a ditch. A conflict situation occurred on the road in St. Petersburg, involving two drivers who preferred to drive on the shoulder. One of the road users, the driver of a Jaguar car, was disappointed with the actions of the Mitsubishi driver. Wanting to teach a lesson to his fellow road user, the Jaguar owner decided to settle the matter by getting out of the car right on the busy highway to continue the discussion. However, the situation took an unexpected turn when, after the driver left the salon of his car, something went wrong, and the foreign car began to roll down the road on its own. The uncontrolled movement of the car resulted in it first colliding with a truck and then crashing into the road barrier. With that, the conflict was resolved. The driver of the sedan decided to teach a lesson to the trucker by driving him onto the shoulder and threatening him with a revolver. But the trucker didn't lose his composure and managed to capture the audacious driver on camera. Just a couple of minutes later, he found himself in the sights of the cops and was held accountable for illegal weapon possession and threatening someone's life. It's unclear whether the guy got away with just a scare or a real sentence, but he'll remember this lesson for a long time. An incident occurred on one of the country roads involving the driver of a Mercedes-Benz minivan and the driver of a Volvo sedan. The situation began with the Mercedes driver trying to prevent driving on the shoulder, occasionally drifting onto it himself, which angered the owner of the Swedish-made car. In response to the minivan driver's actions, the Volvo owner decided to take a risky maneuver, attempting to cut him off. This attempt led to a serious traffic accident, resulting in significant damage to both vehicles. The cost of repairs was substantial, and the emotional stress and frayed nerves added to the discomfort for both participants in the conflict. But the main thing is, they really learned a lesson for life. In Tambov, an unpleasant accident occurred on the road involving the driver of a Nissan Almera car. It seems that the driver was trying to teach other road users a lesson, possibly dissatisfied with their driving style or a specific maneuver. However, in his attempt to teach other drivers, he lost control of his own car. As a result of the unsuccessful maneuver, the car went out of control and crashed into a snowdrift on the roadside. It would have been better if he had focused on defensive driving skills instead of trying to teach others. But on the roads, there are sometimes cases where two road users, each of whom decides to take on the role of teacher, clash head-on. As you can imagine, such conflicts can get very heated. In such a classic case, drivers of a Dodge Caravan and a Peugeot 406 met. And it didn't matter anymore why the dispute started. The main thing was the desire of each to prove their point and have the last word. Both drivers performed aggressive maneuvers, changing lanes closely in front of each other, sometimes inches away from collision. It's a miracle they didn't cause a major accident. In a certain situation, the driver of a Citroen car, for unclear reasons, began to emit prolonged and continuous honking at a pedestrian who was finishing crossing the road. After that, the car began to slowly move towards the pedestrian. Why? Most likely just trying to scare the slow pedestrian into crossing faster. Trying to overtake, as the driver later explained, wasn't even an option here. How did it end? Unfortunately, in this episode, the Citroen driver's defensive driving skills proved to be insufficient. He couldn't control the car, which ultimately skidded into an uncontrollable drift and veered off the road. The car crashed into a snowdrift, which was the culmination of this road situation and the rudeness of the aggressive driver. And where would we be without the classic physical resolution? This video captured the physical resolution of a road conflict. The pickup driver swerved in front of the truck for a couple of minutes, demanding it to stop to teach a lesson. But apparently something went wrong, and the teacher himself ended up on the ground. Hopefully, this will be a good lesson for him. In this situation, a road conflict could have been easily prevented if the driver of the Kia sedan had decided to yield and move slightly to the right. However, by insisting on their own and adhering to the principle of "I'm on my lane, let the bus figure it out," they provoked a conflict situation out of nowhere. The driver of the Moss bus, who had already begun his maneuver to merge into traffic at the traffic light, was forced to reverse, maneuver actively, and try to pass the stubborn Kia driver, demonstrating impressive control of his large vehicle. And it seemed like they were about to part ways, but for some reason, the bus driver threw a bottle at the sedan. Perhaps he wanted to teach the road hog a lesson. This thoughtless act led to the Kia driver, without hesitation, resorting to extreme measures and ramming the bus. As they say, they are both in the wrong. On one of the roads in Texas, a conflict situation unfolded between a motorcyclist and a pickup truck driver, who couldn't agree on sharing the lane. It seemed like the conflict could have been easily resolved, but instead, it escalated into a series of mutual insults. The motorcyclist, wanting to take advantage of his speed advantage, aggressively cut off the truck several times, demonstrating provocative behavior and a desire to dominate the road. Initially, the pickup driver remained calm and didn't react to the provocations, but the constant rudeness from the motorcyclist eventually got to him. In response to the biker's audacity and recklessness, the pickup driver decided to gently nudge the biker, who flew off his iron horse like a bullet. It's a highly questionable move, because it could land him in trouble. Was it worth it? In this incident, the driver of the white Volkswagen found himself in the role of an aggrieved participant in road traffic. He tried to teach a lesson to the truck driver by aggressively cutting him off and then abruptly braking and swerving backward. Essentially, he set himself up, provoking the accident. And thanks to this recording, law enforcement had no questions about who was at fault. As usual, the teacher taught himself a lesson. And this road conflict happened in the vast expanse of Texas. The pickup truck driver decided to teach a lesson to the truck by cutting in front of it and then abruptly hitting the brakes, swerving backward, and not allowing it to pass. The trucker didn't appreciate the maneuver and tactfully tapped the pickup in the rear. But then the real madness began. The enraged pickup driver pulled out a shotgun from the window and started waving it, shouting threats. The truck of course stopped, but not before giving the heated driver another tap to calm him down. Overall, one should be careful in such situations. Who knows, maybe the trucker had an arsenal in the cabin too. And that's it. I hope I vividly demonstrated to you why it is important to maintain civility on the road, even if you feel someone has treated you unfairly. Teachers often bring trouble upon themselves. Subscribe to the channel, and thanks for watching.